All right, so welcome to chapter 14. I'm going to start going over now the assets and exempting those assets on the petition. As I've stated before, for the other last few videos, make sure that you have the petition in front of you because it will make it easier to look at the petition and the video simultaneously. All right, so let's get that PowerPoint ready. All right, welcome to chapter 14. We're going to continue focusing on assets, personal property. We already went over the car and the home issues, and we're going to talk a little bit about Schedule C, which is the exemptions. Now, as always, I recommend for these where I'm talking about specific areas of the bankruptcy petition that you also look at the bankruptcy petition. I think it'll make a lot more sense if you're looking at both simultaneously. Now, when we start with the cars in the home, is kind of simple, right? We can go in there and just go to the county website, figure out the house is worth 100,000, and we go to kbb.com and realize that the car is worth 10,000. Nice and easy. What about my sofa? What about all the furniture that I have in the house? The first thing I'll tell you is because clients just like to fill out the petition and say everything is worth $10,000. Wonderful. How did we get there? I like to just say go room by room. You walked in. What's the first room you have? Well, on the right, I have the living room. What's there? I have a large sofa, little sofa, and a recliner and a coffee table. All right, give me the prices on that rather than just lump sum everything. Some lawyers do that. Some areas might do that. I don't like to do that. I like to go room by room. Now, of course, what is the value? Well, how much can you get for it? I don't care how much you bought it for because that's not how much you're going to get for it today. I don't care if you bought it last week, you're not going to get the same price. So when you're talking about, well, my sofa and all that, for example, I've been here um, about 2 years now in this new property. It was a model home, so it came with most of the furniture. So could it be kind of hard? Yeah, but it wouldn't be too hard to figure out what that costs. How much can a sofa cost and everything else. And if you bought it, makes it even easier. If it was gifted, you can put that in there too. This property was or this sofa was gifted to me by my brother. That's fine. You can put that information in a bankruptcy petition. Just say that it was gifted. The price will be, same thing, whatever the garage sale value is, and take it from there. Personally, I like to put this in there or something along those lines. It could be shorter based on the debtor's opinion. I just like to say, I put out the whole thing, something that I started doing many years after practice, and I kept it. But at the end of the day, you go room by room. What's in the first bedroom? That's the kid's bedroom. There's a bunk bed in there and two nightstands. Perfect. How much did you pay for that? $1,000. When did you do that? Oh, I bought it 6 years ago. Okay, so it's not worth 1,000 today, maybe 100, whatever it is. But again, it's what somebody would give to you based on garage sale value. Now, you are going to list bank accounts. Do not put all the information in there. The last four digits is good enough. That's typically what a trustee is going to ask for. One thing I do want to, like that's why I keep saying it's not just completing forms. Anybody can complete forms. What's more important is catching an issue to avoid an issue later on. And that includes filing on payday. A client files, let's say they got two paychecks coming into the home, and let's say $6,000 came in. And to make up some numbers, let's just say the exemption is only $1,000, or after including, depends, maybe they have exemptions for bank accounts, but let's say after everything's been included, furniture and everything else, there's not a lot left in exemptions. And so now you're 5,000 over. Does the trustee know that money is going to be applied to the car note, the mortgage, the rent, electricity? Of course, the trustee knows that. We all know that. Does the trustee care? No. The trustee is just going to say on the day of filing, you were over exempt. That's all I know about. That's all I care. You owe me $5,000. So, how do you solve that problem? This is when you have to know your cases. You have to see when the client, either through bank statements or they do transfers the day of that they get paid, etc. Most people, a lot of times people get paid on a Thursday. You're filing on Friday. You better find out how much money is in that bank account because again, it's going to be a problem and it could result in more serious problems for the lawyer versus a bar complaint or whatever it might be. The answer it's very simple. Hey, you got paid today, right? How much is in the account? $5,000. When are you paying your mortgage? Next Tuesday. Okay, I'll file on Wednesday then once that money is gone. Just like that, you don't have an exemption issue. But If the money is still there when you file, you have an exemption issue. So you see, again, one little tiny thing could change completely the results of this case. That's why you have to be careful what you're doing. Now, when it comes to jewelry, I see this all the time at 341 meetings where the trustees asking questions and said, "That's your wedding band?" Yes. You didn't include it in the bankruptcy petition. Right there, the debtor starts to get nervous. Yeah, no, I didn't. They start blaming their lawyer. The lawyer, I don't know, they did the paperwork, and then the trustee goes back to what they always say in the beginning. First few questions I asked you was identify yourself. Was this petition true and correct? And that you reviewed it with your bankruptcy lawyer. Now you're saying that you didn't include it, you didn't review it with your bankruptcy lawyer. Client is freaking out at this point. Once the trustee goes through their spiel and explain all that, the next thing to say is, well, what else didn't you include there that I need to know about? And the client is still nervous, and this could mess up a lot of. I've had clients who get nervous, not even on this issue. They're just nervous in general. Trustee feels they're hiding something, and then they go ahead and they have a 2004 examination. So if they're married, where's the wedding band? How much, etc. Go through it. One issue I do want to point out is having debt with KB Jewelers or whatever other jewelry company. That will perk up the ears of the trustee. First thing they want to know is what is the balance today and how much was the purchase price. They want to make sure that you're not trying to walk away with a free diamond bracelet or whatever. If they see that the payment history was consistent and when all things, when it hit the fan, then things change, then okay, we're good there. What's the problem? Well, now you might be over exempt, and the trustee may want that diamond bracelet or ring or whatever it is to go ahead and sell it. Trustees don't get involved in this. I've never seen it. I guess they could theoretically, although a lot of states do protect wedding rings. It's a 5K wedding ring, then we're talking about something else. But your typical wedding ring, I've seen trustees go after it, but I would hope at least that it's far and few in between. All right. So if there is an issue with jewelry, just make sure you're looking at these two things because if not, you've got to react appropriately to make sure that there's no issues with the trustee moving forward. Now, we know retirement accounts are exempt. So why am I saying it's not exempt? Very simple. We have the retirement account over here, and we have your checking account over here. Let's make that a better A. Looks like an R, but you know what I'm doing. What happens? The 10K that was here went over here. Guess what? It's no longer exempt. So keep that in mind. If you see a large deposit, figure out where it came from. The money might just have to go back, and that would solve the problem. I do put here secure debt because sometimes there are clients who borrow against their 401k or their IRA, whatever they have. And if that's the case, from their employer, you will see that listed in the pay stubs. This is now a secured debt. So one issue is make sure you don't list that debt twice. You're not deducting it from the pay stub, and then you're not deducting it again as an expense on Schedule J. The pay stubs will show it. They take out $100 biweekly, and you'll just include that as part of Schedule I. But again, that is secured debt. That is not going to get wiped out in bankruptcy. Now, SOFA, I've discussed many times before, right? Because that is part of the bankruptcy petition, the statement of financial affairs. If there is a lawsuit, that has to be listed on SOFA. Will it be listed on Schedule F? If the lawsuit's over and there's a judgment, sure, it's going to be listed there as well. But it will be listed on SOFA, just saying, hey, there's a lawsuit. Bank of America is suing me. And then on Schedule F, which is where you put all the debts, then you're going to put that Bank of America, $10,000. And I also like to put the amount that they're suing for. It is important to figure out which side the client falls under, because if it's a defendant, fine, it's debt. We can wipe that out in the bankruptcy. But if they're the plaintiff, they're going to be getting money. And then now the issue is again, is that money exempt? And why they're getting money could be a car accident, something along those lines, a discrimination lawsuit, and those funds are not protected. It does not matter that there was discrimination or there was this and that. At the end of the day, it's the money of the debtor. And once they file for bankruptcy, it becomes money of the bankruptcy estate. So keep that in mind. You have to make sure which one the client falls under, and of course, list them under SOFA. If it's a debt, then we're going to put them both in SOFA and Schedule F. And you can always put here in the bankruptcy petition, there's a section where you can say additional notice. You just put the lawyer. That way, when they get notice, what they should do is typically they file it immediately if it's a typical Chapter 7 case with no assets to worry about. But they'll file a notice of dismissal where that case is pending, and then we can move on with that and not have to deal with that case anymore. Now, I was talking about plaintiffs versus defendants. Remember, there is a difference between these two. This money may be protected to a certain extent. Really just depends on the state. Florida is not really going to protect you. Florida, that's just an asset, that falls under personal property. Other states, I can't remember which one, but has up to $10,000 that is protected. But again, any lawsuit, you're going to list it in SOFA. And if it's workers' comp, you're protected. I put commingling because I just like to avoid headaches. It's just easier to have a bank account with the workers' comp money, and then it's easier to have another bank account with whatever money they get, whether it's work or retirement accounts or whatever it is. Just make it nice and simple for the trustee. Now, finally, Schedule C is where you're going to apply the exemptions. If you're using software and there's a $2,000 asset and it's entitled to a $1,000 exemption, the math will be done for you automatically. When we're reviewing the bankruptcy forms, that you're going to have to take out your old trusty calculator. In the old days, you had to take it out. Right now, we just use our cell phone, but you're going to have to use a calculator. The forms don't populate everything automatically. But it's nice and easy with Schedule C. And the good thing is when you're looking at the software, you go all the way to the bottom, and then you'll see how much easily the debtor is over exempt, or maybe they're negative and it's not an issue. We did talk about the summary before in chapter 12. Like I said, I don't like to do the summary because all of a sudden you see there's a house and you're like, wow, look at all these assets that the person has. It has 400,000 in assets. Did I do something wrong? For me, it's just easier to go to Schedule C, just go down the list and you can see what's exempt and what's not. And I'll show you when I go through the software. Sometimes I go through individual assets just to make sure that I properly claim the exemption. You don't want to, forget to claim the car or a house. You could always amend it, but, it could drive some trustees crazy, could even drive them to the point of them litigating it. Not every trustee is the nicest person in the world. The ones in Miami, I love them all. They were great to deal with. But you might go to another district and you might have another trustee that's not so nice. Okay, so we're done with this chapter. We're going to continue on now to chapter 15. Any questions? Hit me up. Make a comment in the comment section below. I'll be more than happy to help you out as best as I can. And feel free to like and subscribe to my videos. You'll see there that especially in the prior demonstrations, I do have other links for you to review as well. Okay, so take care, everybody, and I'll see you with the next video.